I am not a Palestinian, but I don't need to be, because the blood that flows through their veins is the same blood that flows through me. I don't live in the West Bank, but one thing I do understand is that life there is a daily struggle when it does not need to be. I am a Muslim, but I don't need to be, to care for those who suffer constantly, because this is not a Muslim problem, it's a problem for humanity. I am not a Gazan, but I don't need to be, because when mothers are fleeing from bombed out houses, clutching their children to their sides like glue, their hearts are breaking, and trust me when I say my heart is breaking too. And Israel says to these Gazans, we won't allow you to bring in building materials, your food and water we will restrict, but don't think that gives you the right to protest. It's our right to dismantle you bit by bit. They'll say there's a dozen Arab countries all spread throughout the Middle East. Pack up and go live there and leave us here to live in peace. They'll say this land is ours because our holy book said so. Never mind that it was passed down to you by your ancestors as a legacy. Never mind that for generations it's been in your family. No, this land is ours because our holy book said so. So take your deeds and your proof of ownership and throw them out the window. Oh, but that's anti-Semitism, they may cry. But it's not. It's the truth. Nothing more, nothing less is my firm reply. It's not anti-Semitism to call out oppression. It's not anti-Semitism to oppose illegal occupation. And when you face kids armed with sticks and stones, and you're armed to the teeth with tanks and drones, forgive me for not taking you seriously. When you decide to bulldoze Palestinian homes, then cry havoc when a rocket hits your iron dome, forgive me for not taking you seriously. When you build towering walls through wherever you please and shatter all hopes of unity, then act surprised when there's an outcry from the international community, forgive me for not taking you seriously. Because seriously, why do we act as if Israel and Palestine are on equal footing? Why do we act like it's not a conflict one-sided? One side has a fully funded military, the other has nothing like it. One side is backed by the world's strongest economy, the other has nothing like it. One side has international recognition, developed infrastructure and transportation, the other has nothing like it. One side has its flag of white and blue, backed by the flag of red, white and blue, flying proudly next to so many others. The other's flag flies solitary, unrecognized, above a people who are separated from their fellow brothers by checkpoints. Checkpoints that separate sisters and mothers, husbands from wives and children from fathers. To me it seems quite clear this conflict is one-sided. But let us try to sympathize, see the world through different eyes, put ourselves in their shoes to see as they do. Let's be Israeli for a day. Tel Aviv is your city. Roads clean, house looks nice, the shrubbery's looking pretty. Visit family, catch a movie, live life as any other. For soldiers armed with assault rifles will protect you from that dangerous other. Want to go live in the West Bank? Sure, our government will provide. A nice illegal settlement guarded day and night. Clean water, electricity, safety and security, comfort, opportunity and a future that seems bright. This is the life. Such is the promised land. Yet, based on twin pillars of faith and race, much injustice does take place in the name of your great nation state less than 50 miles from where you stand. In Gaza and the West Bank. Gaza, you think. For so long have you heard of that mysterious city. The adventurer inside you wants to seize this opportunity. You type it into Google Maps, Tel Aviv to Gaza. It's less than 50 miles from where you stand, so surely a route is at hand, yet Google messes up your plans and says, sorry, no route found. It's almost as if Israel doesn't want Gazans moving around. Okay, so maybe not Gaza then. Instead, I'll go to Jerusalem, the capital of Israel if our government had its way. Many sights to see in the ancient city, so I gather up my family. Sunglasses on, shirts off, a travel website for the booking. Get in the car and put your seatbelts on because a holiday is cooking. You were Israeli for a day. Not that bad, I'd say. You should try it too. Put yourselves in the shoes of others to see as they do. Let's be Palestinian for a minute. That is, if you can handle it. Because trust me when I say it's no walk in the park. Live in the wrong places and you'll be left in the dark for hours and hours. No electricity. No access to clean water if you're particularly unlucky. Stuck at the border of your own country. Refuse the right to see your own family. And what do your oppressors have to say? They say, your healthcare, please, that barely matters. Your children's education, well, that's in complete tatters. And public transport is just a myth. Be prepared for adversity when you're in Palestine. Expect a checkpoint before you and a checkpoint behind. Expect that justice ignores you and your neighbors play blind. Ahlan wa sahlan. Welcome, dear traveler, to my Palestine. Yet, even amidst all this adversity, even as you are placed under all this difficulty, you resist. You don't give up this fight. When knocked down, you don't stay down, you carry on with life. And for so long has this gone on, is become your custom and culture, that when knocked down, you don't stay down, no. Because you are a fighter. Because for as long as I've lived and 3 times over, you've been oppressed, but you're still here. You've been battered and bruised, tortured, abused, knocked down, but never staying down, because you are a fighter. And what you believe in is unimportant, be it Quran or the Bible. If you live in these here territories, it's a fight for survival. Day and night is a struggle. They say, I lost my sister, my cousin, my uncle, my nephew. These soldiers are ruthless. Try them, I dare you. Throw a rock in their direction and you know what it will get you? A bullet through the skull. That's what it will get you. Ahlan wa sahlan. Welcome, dear traveler, to my Palestine, where no place is safe. Houses have been bombed to rubble, hospitals too, by those jets amongst the clouds flying the flag of white and blue. And I'll be honest, because there's no reason for me to lie to you, our people have fired rockets back. That much is true. But calling us the terrorists, what does that make them? Blockading Gaza, air, land and sea, like we're animals in a pen. And whenever we cry injustice, our oppressors reply, we've already discussed this ages ago. We offered you half and you said no. Well, if I stole your house and then offered you back half, wouldn't you too say no? Oh, what a world we live in, where tyrants, oppressors, state terrorism endorsers, apartheid makers, family breakers and child killers walk free, but not for long. Because in Russia there convened a people's assembly. And it wasn't long ago, it was quite recently, and a man stood up and he was Kuwaiti and he flung these accusations at the Israelis. State terrorists, he cried. Child killers, he cried. Leave this hall if you have any dignity left to hide, he cried. And what did the nations of the world have to say? They applauded his words because they were on his side. I'm just saying what so many are thinking. Listen up, O oppressors, and let my words sink in. For 60 years and more you've tried to suffocate a people and then tried to hide your crimes from international eyes. Guess what? You failed. No longer will you deflect us crying anti-Semitism. No longer will you stifle our activism. Yes, it's true, you have influence and sway. You have friends in high places to get you your way. But how long will you rely on the influence of a few when the people rise up against the likes of you? In our interconnected world, there is little you can do. Pump more millions into your propaganda if you think that it will help you, but trust me, it won't help you. For that, it's far too late. Your diplomacy, your policies, your lies and your fallacies, you've given us all something to hate. And the Palestinians, with their resilience, quietly waiting for the world to wake up from their indifference, quietly hating their oppressors for exaggerating the difference between Jew and non-Jew. O people of Palestine, what sacrifices you've had to make, what decisions you've had to take. Upon the altar of freedom you had to place the bodies of brothers and fathers and say, I'll see you in paradise someday, for in this world you are no more. But no, in your memory you've given us all something worth fighting for. Apartheid is defined as a policy or system of segregation or discrimination on grounds of race or on any other grounds. Specifically, South Africa, under the National Party government, introduced this apartheid system, and it remained in place for almost 50 years. The term apartheid was officially named a crime against humanity in 1966 by the United Nations General Assembly. It has been 70 years since the birth of the State of Israel, and the country has established many laws, restrictions and policies that echo the apartheid state of South Africa during its dark past of segregation based on race. To this very day, the State of Israel enforces laws that clearly and openly segregate the Jewish citizens of Israel from the Arab Palestinians. Palestinians living in the West Bank have a separate minimum wage from the Israelis living in the same region. The roads in the West Bank that Palestinians and Israelis use are also separated, with Israeli transport infrastructure being far more advanced and being inaccessible for Palestinian use. Settlements deemed illegal under international law built in the West Bank are also inaccessible to Palestinians. Only Israeli citizens can ask for residence in these settlements. With regards to the freedom of movement, the West Bank has over 600 checkpoints, and Arab identity cards and Israeli-issued permits are required to move through the occupied territories. Israel regularly refuses to grant these permits, which often restricts people from visiting family, attaining jobs, attending schools, and sometimes even going to the hospital they need. With regards to land control, 92% of the land in Israel is considered by the state as, and I quote, inalienable property of the Jewish people, which means it is reserved exclusively to be used by the Jewish people. In Israel itself, Palestinians attend separate schools and live in separate neighborhoods. The Israeli West Bank barrier was built in the name of security, but it is very commonly called the apartheid wall by the Palestinians who live there, as its presence and location often segregate communities of Jews and non-Jews. The apartheid regime of South Africa was effectively abolished with the appointment of Nelson Mandela as its president in 1994. Nelson Mandela is now remembered as an anti-apartheid revolutionist and was the first black man to become head of state in South Africa. Just as South Africa climbed out of the pit of an apartheid regime and moved to ensure the people of her country were not discriminated against based on race any longer, so too do I believe that there will come a time very soon that this land, seen as the Holy Land by so many people, will also find peace. A peace where a person, whether Jew, Christian, Muslim, or a follower of any other faith, can walk freely and not face difficulty because of their race or their faith. This ancient land is now divided, scarred with miles upon miles of walls, with more checkpoints than there are days in a year, home to people that have never known true freedom. Children born in a land under permanent martial law are taught that armed military personnel walking among them is normal. But it's not. Children are taught that it is wrong to stand up for your siblings if a soldier slaps them, but it's not. Just as black people were once taught that their rightful place is at the back of the bus, it's not. Birds born in cages are taught that freedom is a crime, but it's not. The freedom and liberation of the Palestinian people is the collective goal of humanity, and in the words of Nelson Mandela himself, we know too well that our freedom is incomplete without the freedom of the Palestinians.